Hello, welcome to Cinema Savvy, and welcome to your slightly later than scheduled programming of the Cinema Savvy Awards. This is the third week we've been running this, and sorry, is everything all right?
Yeah, sorry, the audio.
Okay. I saw the sign. I thought, is everything okay? We're live. We're good. Okay. Anyway, so this is the third week that we've been running this thing now. This is our picks for the best international feature film, or as it was once called as a couple of years ago, best foreign language film. We're probably going to be using that term interchangeably throughout the rest of this video. This is our new series, relatively new series. As I mentioned, this is the third week we're into this thing. This is going to be running for 10 weeks in the lead up to the actual night of the Oscars. And over those 10 weeks, we'll be covering 14 Oscar categories. It's just a little bit of fun that we're having on the channel where we each have 3 picks, and out of those 3 picks each, we pick one winner and we discuss the films. And we want to open it up to you guys as well, so feel free to comment along. And I guess before we get into the main video, we'll just have a quick blast through of the socials.
Absolutely, guys. So, as we always see, we want you to comment along with us. The way it works on these videos is we've each got 3 nominations. We're going to pick one winner. So, if we want you at home, let us know your 3 picks and then tell us the winner a little bit later on. Once we've gone through a couple of hours, we'll bring them up on the screen. We'll talk about them. And if you do like this video, if you like what else we do on the channel, then you want to find us on our social medias, which is Cinema Savvy on Facebook, Twitter at cinema_savvy, letterboxd.com/cinema savvy, and we have a link to TeePublic in the description below. And what I will say is a special one-off. We won't just say it, and we'll say it now. WandaVision finale is tomorrow, 8 p.m. Join us. You know the drill by now. It's going to get deep. It's going to get depressing. So that is the place to be.
Yes, indeed. I'm guessing we're starting off immediately. We've already kind of said the rules. We have 3 picks, 3 nominations. We'll go through them very quickly, and then we'll go over our winner. And I believe Chris is going to be starting with his first.
Okay, I guess that's my cue then. So, without further ado, these are my picks for best international feature film or best foreign language film. So first up, we have Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, a film that, when it was initially released, shattered all US box office for a film that was made in a foreign language. It's beautiful, it's elegant, it's beautifully shot, and just a paramount film in the martial arts genre. We move to another martial arts film, this time directed by Zhang Yimou. This one not only meshes martial arts, but it also meshes it with a love story as well, a tragic love story, beautiful cinematography, amazing action, which is just part and parcel of those kind of films. And thirdly, we have Pan's Labyrinth, which is the Guillermo del Toro directed dark fantasy film. Amazing practical creature design, just an amazing fantasy world told in a backdrop, of the Spanish Civil War. And my winner for Best International Feature Film is Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. This was a film that I was kind of mulling over as to which to go with. It was kind of a toss-up between that or Pan's Labyrinth, with like the very, very short list of the 3. But I decided to go with Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon because it was and is so influential, the type of film that it was. So I mentioned about its box office. It was actually the highest grossing of the time, probably, foreign language film produced overseas in American history. And just the genre itself, like in terms of its cinematography and martial arts, yes, you had plenty of other martial art films that came out before this one. This is the wuxia genre of martial arts, which basically means characters you saw in the video there that have superhuman traits. They can fly, they can glide, and it just makes there's more of a fluidity to the fights. I guess this is kind of nostalgic to me because this was the first martial arts film in the wuxia genre that I ever saw, and I watched it at a very young age. And I was just completely dazzled by it. I hadn't seen anything like that. Martial arts films were always great, and the choreography, and that's no difference with this film as well. But you have that added layer, and I think that after this film came out, I think this was still very popular, incredibly popular with Western audiences, especially of a foreign language film. And you had a lot of copycats. You always get a lot of copycats whenever something amazing comes out. And then, there's a whole other list of films that came out that tried to replicate what this film did. And none come as close as that. So Ang Lee directed it. I mentioned the cinematography, the music, everything. All the actors in there. You've got Chow Yun-fat. You've got Michelle Yeoh and, oh God, let me find her name. And Zhang Ziyi as well. All kind of, you see them crop up a lot in a lot of these kind of films. It's a beautiful story, and just in terms of how it's made, practical effects, actually filming it on location, getting them up on wires in those trees. And you just watch all the choreography in the film as well, the martial arts, and you just wonder how long did it take them to get all of this down. It's so fluid, it's so quick, it's just gorgeous. Even looking for clips, it's a film that I definitely need to go back to and watch. It's a film that's just stuck with me all these years, so for that reason alone, I had to give it to Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
I'm going to follow you up from last week and raise you another. I've still not seen this film. I think this is one, though, that even when I was younger, I remember this being advertised everywhere. I think this and Memoirs of a Geisha are those very much those sort of Japanese films that everyone's probably heard of if they've not seen them. And it's more the marketing campaign do you remember or seeing on DVD shelves and stuff. But it's Japanese cinema is a fascinating one. I think obviously Chris spoke to you off camera about this. It's something I'm going to look at a lot more this year. I've got a couple of films to catch up with, and it'll probably get added to that list. Once all the Marvel films are gone, then I get to watch proper films again.
I have seen this film. I distinctly remember just the tree sequences and the martial arts and just the practical wire work that went into it. Just like you said, it's a visually stunning film. It's one that sticks with you long after you've watched it. I know I've only seen it once, but I do really want to see it again. But I can remember it as vividly as the first time I watched it.
Absolutely. I think that got me into the genre as well of martial arts. Certainly put it on the map. And then we actually have probably some other martial art films which are going to crop up in some of these lists now, I think.
I was actually going to say my first of this style of film that I'd actually seen was House of Flying Daggers. So.
Oh, okay. Okay. Equally as good film. I recommend everyone check them all out. Yeah.
Definitely so.
George.
That being said, yes. I'm going to go through my nominations for Best International. I'm going to go Best Foreign Film. Sorry. Thanks, Oscars, for changing the category name, and they still keep cocking up every year they do it. So mine for Best Foreign Film. First up, we have City of God, the Brazilian crime thriller directed by Fernando Meirelles and Catalan. One of the most powerful films, not only being foreign film, one of the most powerful films I've ever seen. Traumatic, just look at that. No more needs to be said. And then, of course, we have Parasite, the film that, let's be honest, it doesn't need an introduction at this stage. The Bong Joon-ho train left the station last year, and we're ready for more of his films. Everyone knows him now, even if they've not seen his films. It's going to be amazing to see what he follows this up with. Oh, I still have time. And this doesn't need an introduction. The Raid 2, Gareth Evans directing this film, one of not just the greatest action films of all time, but as an actual crime film itself, is there for all the right reasons. He was able to combine the action with the story. Now, that being said, I could talk about each of these films for a longer amount of time, but the one I'm going to pick, the one that is the winner, is the one I can actually speak about for the least, really ironic, which is City of God. So City of God's a fascinating one. I saw this. This is probably, politely put, one of the first ever foreign films I saw, and this was when I was studying film at college, and my film lecturer, we were going through a module on foreign films. We had to watch Amelie, lots of Japanese films, and then we got to this one I'd never heard of, City of God, and I was blown away immediately. Obviously, we don't get many Brazilian films that get mainstream over here, and when you think of Brazil, not to stereotype a nation, you think of corruption, you think of riots, you think of loads of stuff like that, because especially how it's portrayed in media. But seeing this sort of semi-autobiographical film about this kid growing up in the favela, back when the favela was new, not the way it is now that we know it is this sort of shithole, politely put. Back then, it was this new thing, and people started to figure out how bad it was. But seeing the rise of gangsters, them being at such a young age, murderers that are teenagers killing kids younger than them, torturing kids younger than them, adults older than them, they were going for police. And I remember being transported into this type of film I'd not seen, and it was really quite traumatic to watch it, in truth. I don't get traumatized often by films, but if you saw that clip, I said to Chris, like, I'm sorry, I need to include the bit where the kid's foot gets shot, because that's a whole build-up scene of this kid betraying them. And it's really fascinating when you get to revisit some of these films that you've not seen in such a long time. And I think when you've got one that just stands out, even though I saw it once, and it was 7-8 years ago, I was aiming to rewatch it for this. I just haven't got the time to do it. But looking online at the clips again, just taking me back to being in a lecture theatre thinking, how was this film made? And it's really interesting because I don't think many people have seen it, but I think it's one a lot of people can name. And what's even more amazing is that, you know, a lot of foreign films we know get sort of underlooked at the Oscars. If you guys want to laugh at a cruel, ironic joke, this was nominated for 4 Oscars: director, editing, writing, and cinematography. But it wasn't even nominated for Best Foreign Film. Not that I'm going to sit here and say how bad the Oscars are every year, but when you see things like that, how did it get nominated for 4 genuine big categories and not the obvious winner that foreign films always tend to get if they're nominated for any other award? So that's always a question. And with City of God, I think the legacy of this is probably far bigger in other continents than ours. I think, obviously, in South America, We don't get many of their films over here, and this ended up becoming a TV series after. They did a follow-up film called City of Men, where it was about these characters growing up. They were adapting the other half of the book. This was humongous, but it's a film that once you see it, you can sit there, take it all in. And what makes it more tragic is that it's a kind of coming-of-age gangster film as well, which just lingers in your mind that the kid's doing that at that kind of age, and it hits home in a way you wouldn't think it would. I think at that age, I was a very naive individual, 16-year-old, and you realise what some of the other places like. So, not a kind of offhand recommendation. If you haven't seen City of God, I thoroughly recommend it. Is worth watching just to see how it was edited. And the fact that it doesn't look like any other film, it's really intense. It's got a lot of editing, a lot of montages as well. It's pretty fluent in how it is. The first scene sets the tone for the rest of the film, and it is definitely worth watching off that.
Well, I'm right back at you with this one, George. I haven't seen City of God. I know that its reputation precedes it. You go onto like any website, best films of all time. It's always on there. I know the poster. I distinctly know the poster off the top of my head. I think, again, like I know that, studied film. I remember scenes from this, being shown scenes from this film in lectures. I think the intro to, like the slums and the favelas, and I think it was like the use of sound and the chaotic nature of the editing. I distinctly remember that. And it's going to be one of those films, though, isn't it? It's one of those films that's definitely on the list, which we always keep mentioning. We all have our personal lists. But you sent me that scene to edit into the video, and I mean, that's just harrowing, that one scene. And there's probably a whole bunch of scenes that are equal, if not worse than that scene. It's going to be one of those films that you have to be in the right mindset to watch. It's probably a film that, I guess, like you've watched once, but it stays with you. And that's, some people say, well, if it's a good film, why don't you watch it more times than just the one? You don't have to. With some films, you can watch it once and it stays with you. I didn't actually know there was a sequel, City of Men, so that's news to me.
There's a sequel? I did not know that. For me, I have seen this film once, which I think it means I've seen every single film in this video, which makes me so happy. But I remember this, just the visceral editing and the brutal nature of the film. It's one of the most harrowing coming-of-age films I think I've ever seen, watching violence amongst young kids and everything like that. It sticks with you, and it's one a bit like Schindler's List. I watch it once, and I've never gone back. I don't think I want to. But maybe under this recommendation, I think I've given it enough time since my first watching that I might go back to it. But it's a tough watch either way. Okay, and moving on to my nominations for Best International Feature Foreign Language Film. So, my first pick is Life is Beautiful, a comedic character thrown into the hell that is the Holocaust. This is one of the most heartwarming and yet harrowing and devastating films you will ever see. Makes me cry every single time. Parasite, yes, I've picked the same as George as well. This film is game-changing, I think, for cinema in many, many ways. Being the first international language film to win Best Picture, it's opening so many doors, and it fully deserved it last year as one of the best films of that year. And also, following George, The Raid 2. This scene, in fact, I think won one of our Battle of the Brackets for Best Action Scene, and rightfully deserved. This film has the best action I've ever seen put to cinema, some of the best martial arts. It is phenomenal. I cannot recommend any of these highly enough, but I'm going with Life is Beautiful. And I can't remember whether we did this as a film club or whether we did this.
Yeah.
I think it was possibly just not one of the worst picks for film club, but probably one of the hardest picks for film club that you could ever watch. This film balances a comedic life in its first half, a very kind of beautiful life where a boy meets girl's story, falling in love in comedic circumstances, and then it jump cuts straight into the Holocaust, straight into that horror that is just hell on earth. And you're dealing with the situation of this comedic character trying to hide the horrors of war from their child and trying to survive in any way possible. It is a very polarizing film. I see people who watch it and don't like it for its kind of comedic nature that it does throw into the mix. But personally, for me, it balances it so well. It is a difficult watch, I know, but it rightfully got nominated and won loads of awards at the Oscars. Best actor in a leading role for a foreign language actor. That is phenomenal for Roberto Benigni. It also won for Best Music, and it won for Best Foreign Language Film of that year. It got nominated for Best Picture. It's on that list of films with City of God, with Parasite even, that ended up winning it, that were nominated as a foreign language film, which is a rare occurrence in itself. It also got nominated for Best Writing for the screenplay and Best Film Editing as well. And honestly, I mean, I hadn't checked before the video. I think it probably had a good shot of winning Best Picture, because I think it's one of the most beautiful and yet haunting films that I've ever seen. And now I'm going to open it up to the floor for you guys to have a talk about it.
So yeah, again, go on, sorry, George.
I was just saying, I'm going to jump in another one I've not seen. I'm more than honest to say that I don't watch enough foreign films, so this video is one that I'm taking with a very different approach of please don't persecute me. I know I need to do better. Everyone at home who loves their foreign films. And I'm sat here like preaching it, and then I'm watching 23 Marvel films as we speak. So yes, I'm part of the issue.
No, I'm right there with you as well. I need to watch way more. There's so many that probably could have made this list had I but seen them, but I haven't, so I can't throw them on there. But Life is Beautiful. So I watched it for the first time. The one and only time that I've watched this film was when I did the review with you, Tayte, for Film Club. For some reason, it's a film I remember always. Again, a poster that always sticks with me. I always thought it was like a really old film from like the 40s or the 50s or something like that. I'm always astounded that I realized that it came out in 1997. It's a film that has stuck with me, and I still think about it now. I mean, I might go back to it at some point if I'm feeling particularly masochistic one night. But yeah, you mentioned about if you just stop it at the halfway point, it's one of the happiest films you'll ever see.
It's a musical about music. You could easily submit it as like an Italian version of Singing in the Rain or something like that. Yeah. It has that kind of vibe to it. It's so polarizing.
And then Singing in the Rain goes bad. Singing in the Rain goes south halfway through.
Yeah.
But you mentioned about that it's polarizing. I didn't realize that the film was. I thought a lot of people did.
It's
love
universally
the film,
loved, but I have seen a lot of criticism for it online for that kind of whiplash nature that the film gives.
But I think that's the unique thing about it, though. And when you break it down, it's equally, if not more, tragic, because you've got this father and son story where he's using humor and jokes to try and shield his son and preserve his innocence from the actual serious nature of everything that's going on around them. It's horrible. It's a horrible situation. So I mean, it's a Holocaust movie. Dare I say it's one of the best Holocaust movies I've seen?
There are some very good Holocaust movies that I would recommend. That's really bad to say, but Son of Saul from a few years ago, which was I can't remember if it won Best Foreign Language Film, is a fantastic watch if anyone wants to go for it. But yeah, it's a horrific topic, but the way that this film handles it in a way that is digestible, but also it's terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying. And the scene that I picked for this one over the tannoy, we were discussing this as well before the stream went ahead, whether it was our favorite tannoy moment of all time. And the only other one that kind of came to mind would have been the one from Shawshank Redemption. This is a beautiful scene in the film that, I mean, without really spoiling it, it comes with a horrific moment beforehand and a horrific moment very soon afterwards. And it's that moment of pure light and that moment of kind of pure happiness thrown into the hellscape that is the situation they're in. I'm going to stop talking about Life is Beautiful now just for a second, because I think this is the first time we've had 2 repeats of picks. Mm-hmm. Almost back to back as well. So I'm very curious, Chris, as the tiebreaker, would you pick The Raid 2 or would you pick Parasite?
They're so very different, like different films. I think overall, I'd have to pick Parasite as the best. And I was tempted to put Parasite on my list as well, and maybe I should have done. I kind of just went for the sake of diversity in the picks, like difference of picks. Otherwise, we've all got the same ones. I could have easily thrown The Raid 2 on there as well. Watching those 2 clips, it was just my God, just like the choreography. I'm a sucker for choreography in martial art films, but no, I think I would give it to Parasite as a film. That just astounded me, and the impact that film has had. Again, on a Western audience, the fact that it is the first film to win Best Picture as well. I always keep saying it. I need to go through the rest of his films as well, but I will get to those in time. I think that's all the time we have for Best Foreign Language Film for our picks on the Cinema Savvy Awards. So now we want to open it, as always, to you guys as well. Let us know some of your favorite foreign language movies. As we always mentioned, there's a lot that we haven't mentioned. There's a lot that we haven't seen. So maybe you guys can clue us in on some that we can then go and watch, or recommend some more that we didn't. We haven't had any comments tonight, unfortunately, because we usually have Carl who lists his. So please do list your calls if you are watching, and we'll get to that in due course. So I guess we'll announce now next week's Cinema Savvy Awards. We are mashing 2 categories together next week for the sake of brevity. We are talking all things music. So next week, it's going to be a combined Cinema Savvy Awards. We're going to be talking Best Original Score and Best Original Song. So that's going to be really fun to talk about that one. Always good to show some light on the music as well, because it's very underappreciated in movies. We have a lot of other videos coming out, including a huge one tomorrow. We're going to say a sad, fond farewell to WandaVision. We will be talking the WandaVision spoiler review at 8 p.m. GMT. Oh my God, there's so many things to click on here. George, maybe you can help me out, my friend. So yes. WandaVision tomorrow. Yeah.
WandaVision tomorrow, 8 p.m. GMT. The spoiler finale. Of course, it's spoiler filled. It's this, not even season finale. It is the finale. This is a mini series. This isn't going to be 2, 3, 4 seasons. So join us for that one. We're going to delve into it, find out how wrong all of our predictions were, and then we'll be looking ahead to other Marvel things, because of course we've got Falcon and Winter Soldier starting in 2 weeks tomorrow. And if that wasn't enough Marvel for you, if Loki's not enough Marvel for you, we also have the Infinity Saga retrospective, which started airing this week. Incredible Hulk went up yesterday. Iron Man went up on Monday. We've got Iron Man 2 coming this Saturday, everyone's favourite Iron Man film. And if that doesn't wake you up enough, then we've only got Thor and Captain America and the Avengers next week. So you're not short of Marvel films. You know, we all know you're going to hate at least 2 out of the 23. Spider-Man. So we'll leave that for you guys. And we, of course, have the retro reviews. We're going to be jumping into the 90s as we look at Face Off, coming this Tuesday, the 9th of March. John Travolta, Nicolas Cage, a film you should all know and love. If you haven't seen it, go watch it and join us, because it's going to be really exciting to watch it. Chris hasn't seen it.
What?
I haven't seen it.
Chris, come on, man.
I will have watched it by Tuesday next week. So it's going to be fun.
Exactly. So we're not short of content. We've got so much stuff coming up, and we might even have surprise videos. We did a Coming to America 2 review an hour ago. We didn't know about that literally 2 days ago. So if you want to find out more about random videos, then you want to get us on social, which is Facebook at Cinema Savvy, Twitter at Cinema_Savvy, letterboxd.com/Cinema Savvy, and of course our TeePublic link is in the description below. I think that's all of the socials. We're not going to be venturing out into any more. There's just too damn many to list.
Absolutely. So that'll do it for us today. We'll see you next week for the Cinema Savvy Award and all the other videos that we've got in between. Take care, everyone.